Welcome to the most listened to golf in the world, the Fairways of Life show, on air, online, and around the world, with the most candid interviews, unforgettable stories, taking you beyond the ropes. Here's your host, New York Times best-selling author, Matt Adams.
TGL match number 3, Atlanta Drive. Billy Horschel, Patrick Cantlay, Chris Gotterup. Gotterup with this from 33 feet. At the time, it tied the match 2-2. Gotterup making his second consecutive start as an alternate for Atlanta. And this is Patrick Cantlay, the master at the hammer. And he puts the hammer down right there. That was from 41 feet on the 9th. Ultimately, you can see that he who drives the enthusiasm for the team, seemingly, Billy Horschel. And Billy Horschel did what Billy Horschel has been doing. He earned the winning point for Atlanta for the 3rd consecutive match and the 4th time overall. When it was all said and done, final score, Atlanta Drive 7, the Bay Club, represented by Ludwig Oberg, Wyndham Clark, and Shane Lowry. Now, in Season 1, the Bay Club led the TGL in driving accuracy at 76%. In this loss to Atlanta, they hit only 40% of their fairways. The Magic, Horschel spoke to it.
Well, I think even on the PGA Tour, I may not get nearly as excited, but I'm a fan of golf, always have been. I love the game of golf. And so if I'm playing with these two guys, they hit a great golf shot, like I'm going to tell them. And there's times I may give them a fist pump because if it was that good, I'll give them a little fist pump. But here, you can be a little bit more free. You're pulling, these aren't guys I'm competing against. I'm playing with them. They're my partners. And so, when you see some special golf shots like the one Chris had tonight in his situation, and then Patrick chipping, understanding the situation that Wyndham's probably going to make that putt, he needs to hole it, and you see the guys rise to the occasion and hit a great golf shot, like that's really cool to me. And I'm just, like I said, I'm a fan of golf, and it's really cool to be with these guys. And as I said out there, listen, I've always been the Energizer guy and Energizer Bunny, and it's never going to change. And I just, listen, I'm in an arena that, just allows that to be a little bit more, come out a little bit more and be a little more natural.
The Energizer guy, the Energizer Bunny. Welcome, folks, to the PXG Custom Studios. Pleasure to have your company. Well, today, we're going to continue down a path where we're taking a look at those things to expect in 2026. And we're doing it in this show from an expert's perspective. That coming up, but kind of setting the table of where we're going. Let's take a look at the schedule for 2026. You guys may remember, see at the top of this is the official PGA Tour schedule for 26, the Century. The Century would have been this week, but it was canceled this year because of the water issues that they had on Maui. The golf course was not ready at the time that they needed to start to build its infrastructure. I guess the good news is that I've done some poking into it since that time, and the Bermuda grass is coming back very strongly, so the golf course is looking good. I don't know its actual playing status. I'm guessing that it wouldn't be to a tour level even now, because when you're bringing the grass back like that, you can only move so fast to make it fast. So the Century is not being held. We're going to open this year, thus, with the Sony Open next week. We'll have previews, etc., for next week. And there you can see the rest of the schedule filing out from there. You can see what on this, and it gives you the timing of when the PGA Tour sent this to us. It says the Miami Championship. That's the new Cadillac event in Doral. That's a signature event. I'm going to show you the signature events in just a second. But the only thing I wonder with that event in Miami, April 27th to May 3rd, obviously you got a new event. You got to find a place to put it in. They somehow, some way, in my view, the tour's got to find a way to marry that to the Cognizant, right? They're right down the road from each other. It just makes sense that you would do that instead of going from the Cognizant back up to Orlando to the Players, over to Tampa, et cetera, then to Texas, the Masters, and eventually working your way back down to South Florida. As to those signature events that I promised you, here are the 2026 signature events: the AT&T Pebble Beach Pro-Am, the Genesis Invitational, the Arnold Palmer Invitational, the RBC Heritage, the Cadillac Championship, as we mentioned, that's at Trump Doral, the official name of it now, Truist Championship, the Memorial Tournament, and then the Travelers Championship. That's the table that is set for signature events in 2026. As for those who have gotten inside of the top 50, and remember, it's not just the top 50 who play in signature events. You're going to go the swing, the 50 to 60, et cetera. There's different ways to get in, but these are the guys that actually qualified for the signature events by virtue of performance in 2025 before the end of the playoffs. Leading the way, of course, Scottie Scheffler, Rory McIlroy, J.J. Spaun, Justin Rose, Sepp Strack. I'm reading the top 10 for those of you listening to us on the audio side. Russell Henley, Ben Griffin, Tommy Fleetwood, Justin Thomas, Harris English. That's your top 10. It's interesting. Andrew Novak's number 11 on that list of qualifiers, which speaks to the season that he had. Keegan Bradley's number 14th. Colin Morikawa is 17th. Cantlay is 19th, coming off injury to end the season, but he came back, as you saw in the highlights. Shane Lowry is 23rd. Sam Burns, 24th. Chris Gotterup, the aforementioned, 26th. Victor Hovland, 28th. Glover, 30th, hanging in there for the vet. Kurt Kitayama's 37th. Eddie McCarthy, 38th. If you're with us on the television side, you can see the graph that I'm going through. Xander Schauffele, 43rd. What can we expect of Xander in 2026? If I remember to ask that question coming up of our guest, I will. Ricky Fowler is 48th, actually showing some signs of life in his game again. As to, you talk about setting the table, what about the majors on the men's side of the game for 2026? The Masters kicking off the 9th through the 12th of April. The PGA Championship, that's May 14th to the 17th, will be at Aronimink outside of Philadelphia. Incredible golf course. The U.S. Open, June 18 to 21, will be at Shinnecock Hills out on Long Island. Think about being back there again. The Open will take place July 16th to the 19th at Royal Birkdale in Southport, England. That's just outside of Liverpool. So certainly very, very excited about all of that. Dom, have you had a chance to work on, it's probably too early to ask you this question, but have you had time to work on a question of the day today through your sickness?
I did, and I have. You want to know what the question is?
I would like to know.
Should LIV players be allowed back on a PGA Tour?
Ooh. How long have you had this posted? Do you do this right at the top of the show? Oh, seconds. Oh, it just happened. Right.
Seconds.
So we don't have any results from that coming.
We've only got like 10 votes because I just started, and it's mostly no right now.
Really?
For whatever that's worth. Yeah, we got to give it some time, but yeah.
That's interesting. I'll try to get to that too with our guest coming up right now. How you feeling, Dom? Any better?
Slightly, only slightly.
Yeah.
Whatever
it is that's going around right now.
This is the season. There's a lot of flu going around. A lot of people are having the same problems, and I have young kids, and
they come home with it all.
Festers in the schools, and then it spreads.
Oh yeah, no doubt about that. No doubt about that.
All the kids get sick, and then they take it home, and then they get the parents sick, and now I'm blowing my nose and tired and sick.
Yes, that's what's going on with Dominic right now. So we are very much looking forward to, as I mentioned, going down this road of having an expert on to talk about what we can expect in 2026 and some of these, I guess, if you will, these overarching questions that play into all of this. Those questions being the sorts of that Dom just posted as a question of the day, which if you want to weigh in on that, you can log on to our Fairways of Life YouTube channel and do so accordingly. But questions like, should LIV players just be allowed to come back to the PGA Tour? Or otherwise, how do you handle with it? Just if you want to take that a little bit deeper, and much more that I'm very curious about in terms of what to expect in 2023. Sure, Rory, Scottie, and more. All of that and more will continue on the Fairways of Life show right after these words.
Golfers today are a different breed.
Who? Me?
We see the game in a different way.
We all have
Good morning,
our own
Carl.
styles.
We swing our own swing.
How you doing?
But we have one thing in common.
We are all about the details.
Introducing the Revel line of grips from Superstroke. With 3 distinct
Okay, can you
offerings
hear me?
to choose from, the Revel is
How
in
you
the
doing?
details.
In Ireland, golf is more than just a game.
All right.
Come
Thanks
and
for doing this.
experience our
Always looking forward to
world-famous
it as
links
always.
courses and our
Matt's got a whole host of
world-famous
things I think he's
Heartland
planning on
courses.
asking you.
All set
Nothing you probably
alongside
don't know the answer to,
world-famous
Carl.
scenery. And visit our world-famous historic sites. And while you're here, enjoy our world-famous hospitality. Fill your heart with Ireland at ireland.com/golf.
Ben Hogan Golf Equipment is back. Established in 1953, we serve golfers who demand excellence of their equipment. Designed by the game's best engineers, forged in the world's best foundries, and built to order in the USA. Don't settle for off-the-rack disappointment. Elevate your game with custom clubs at direct consumer pricing. Exclusively at benhogangolf.com. That's benhogangolf.com.
The wrong clubs are costing you strokes. PXG can fix that for an amazing new price. PXG Black Ops drivers, double gold winning, effortless distance, and game-changing forgiveness. PXG Gen 7 irons, unmatched quality, precision, and a feel so pure you'll never want to swing anything else. Save your season and save with incredible new pricing on Black Ops and Gen 7. Book your fitting now. PXG, you've never played like this before.
FlightScope Mevo Plus is the ultimate indoor and outdoor golf launch monitor and simulator. It gives you the club and ball data you need with the accuracy you demand. Mevo Plus comes with ownership of simulated golf courses for you to play and practice at home. Mevo Plus is an essential golf partner to help you improve and understand your game better. Put more purpose in your practice. To learn more and get your Mevo Plus, shop now at flightscope.com.
Head down, water down the left, walker down the right, take the club straight back.
Wandering minds. When golfers lose their focus, they're totally... But Bridgestone can help. Introducing Mindset. The ball scientifically designed to keep you focused. First, identify your target. Next, visualize your shot path.
And then focus on the green dot and smooth one.
Play the Tour B and E12 with Mindset technology.
See what happens when we work together? Stuff like that.
As we welcome you back to the Fairways of Life show, it's funny that Andrew chose that cutaway there. It's right twice a day, I guess. Pleasure to have your company from wherever you are joining us, broadcasting live from the PXG Custom Studios. Log on to pxg.com for more information on how you can play your best golf ever. Nobody builds golf clubs the way we do, period. So, really excited about our next guest because I love having experts on. And what better expert to have on than someone that's been out there actually doing it? A tour veteran in Carl Paulson. He's also a veteran on the media side of the game. Now, co-host of Inside the Ropes on PGA Tour Radio. That's on Sirius XM. He's also a lead analyst for PGA Tour Live. That's on ESPN+. Carl, how are you? Welcome.
Happy New Year, Maddie. Doing great. Appreciate you having me.
Pleasure. Happy New Year to you as well. So, Andrew, let's take a look at the graphic that you have that shows the changes coming in 2026 that we'll be living with. Obviously, it includes going from 125 down to 100, conditional status from 101 to 125, Korn Ferry Tour to 20 exempt from 30. DP World Tour still has the 10 to get in. Maximum player field drops from 156, 144, players to 120. etc. Some adjustment in the points in the FedEx Cup system and more. So, Carl, what was the word on the streets from the standpoint of were there those that feel like playing opportunities is sacrosanct and that's what the tour was set up for, or perhaps this mentality that, this is structured now for the rich get richer, or is it the other way? Is it more so that we have to give the people, the fans, the sponsors, the networks what they want, and what they want is more of the stars? What's the word on the street as you heard it?
Well, I think it's a wait and see proposition here. If we're going to change things and shrink the tour and make it where, a lot of the best players in the world are playing against each other more often, I think we just have to wait and see how this is going to play out. There's two thought process, I guess you could say here. And let's be more like football and make it where, everybody's really wanting golf after a few months off, or are we going to inundate the platforms with golf? And I don't know what the answer is. I'm anxious to see what's going to happen if we shrink this down. But for me, it goes back down to one simple thing, and that is, if we are going to do this, if we're going to lose 25 spots from the PGA Tour and move them to the Korn Ferry Tour, if we're going to have a PGA Tour A and a PGA Tour B and then the Korn Ferry Tour, this all trickles down to the Korn Ferry Tour. And for this to work, we got to be playing for $3 or $4 million a week on the Korn Ferry Tour. So these guys that, if they lose their card for a year, they've got somewhere to go, somewhere to play, where they can make a living and make some money.
It's interesting that what you're mentioning, it kind of goes down to A and B. The A side, the conversation has been, we need to work around the NFL, et cetera, et cetera. I don't know if that's because Brian Rolap came from the NFL. On yesterday's show, we used sound from Harris English from the RSM Classic when he said we can't compete with the NFL. But my question is there, Carl, is golf competing with the NFL? Is the PGA Tour really competing with the NFL? Because if you're trying to dodge and weave around sport, okay, well, if you started after the Super Bowl, the season starts to heat up. Before long, you're going to smash into the NCAA tournament, and then you're going to have the start of the rite of spring and summer with the baseball. There's always some other major sport that golf's going to smash into. How much of a benefit is golf really going to have being on one side or the other of the NFL or any of these others?
Well, I think football is king, Matty. You know that. I know that. Everybody else knows that. Can we compete against baseball? Yeah. Can we compete against basketball? I think so. But we cannot compete against football. It's as simple as that. We've seen all the numbers when college football starts, and especially in the Southeast where I grew up and I come from, nobody's going to be watching golf on Saturday afternoon when Alabama's and the Tennessees and all of the SEC and ACC and Big Ten teams are playing college football, and then you turn to Sunday and in the NFL. I'm a college football guy more than a NFL guy, but I totally understand people's passion for the game. I don't know if this is the right move, Matty. I certainly don't think that taking a product and making it better. Okay, so if you're going to take the bottom 25 guys out of 125 man field, does that make your field better? I certainly think it makes it. I don't know if competitive is the right word, because the more players you have, I would rather play in a 30-man field with the 30 best players in the world week in and week out. I think that's an easier tournament to win than playing a 156-man field. But again, if we give these players a place to play, if they aren't in the signature events, or if they aren't on the PGA Tour, whether there's an A and a B, a Super Tour, a regular tour, a Korn Ferry Tour, if we give these guys a place to play and hone their skills, if they have a couple of down years, or guys that are coming up through college, we give them a place to play where they can make some money and make a living and pay all their bills and not be worried about stuff like that. I think it's okay. I'm not sure what the answer is, Matty. I know that, there's a lot of people out there that are squawking about, we're taking away playing opportunities and playing privileges for some players. But again, if we have that safety net of a tour where we're playing for $3 or $4 million a week, and these guys can, survive, so to speak, and give themselves a chance to work their way back up, through the ranks. And we've seen guys, look what we've seen, especially on the Champions Tour, guys that didn't have any status and Monday qualify in. Look, there's one thing that I can promise you, Matty. If you shoot 65s and 66s and 67s, you're going to be a rich person, and you're going to be playing against the best players in the world. It's as simple as that.
Yeah, just play better ultimately is what we've heard for years and years, right? Brian Rolap, when he was on the CNBC CEO Council, he spoke about the menu of success as he saw it. Now, this is at the top tier, the A level, to use your vernacular, if you would. He called it parity, which obviously the PGA Tour has, simplicity, which the PGA Tour has struggled with, particularly over the last decade plus, then scarcity, which they don't have yet either. I'm curious how you react to the formula of parity, simplicity, and scarcity.
Look, will we all love to see the tour get a little bit easier to understand? Absolutely. The simplicity part of it, I think, is a goal that we need to continue to strive for. Parity, of course, we're always going to have parity in this game. There are thousands of players that have the talent to win on tour week in and week out. I'm not sure about the scarcity. I'm not sure if our sport is. I don't mind the direction that he thinks the tour should go in. It's for me, it's a wait and see process. I mean, this might be the best thing that's ever happened to the tour. It might be a total flop. I don't know. But I don't mind somebody coming in and thinking outside the box and changing things a little bit to see if we can make the tour a better place. That's okay. If it doesn't work out, we slowly move back towards what we had. But I'm okay with the direction that we're going in. But to figure out what's going to happen, for me is, look, we're going to have to wait a couple of years to see if this is the right decision. And by the way, I don't think we're even close to being done with the changes that are going to be made to the tour.
Yeah, that was he also said that, in fairness to the new CEO of the PGA Tour, that they're actively working on that right now and trying to figure out what direction that they ultimately will take. Now, one of the directions that have been questioned a great deal in the last few days is after the news that Brooks Koepka has parted ways with LIV. The question was, is he going to be welcomed back to the PGA Tour, and how would that take place? So recently, Rory McIlroy appeared on the Stick to Football podcast, a bunch of former Premier League football players that now have their own podcasts that Rory is a fan of, respectively, collectively. And he was on there. He was asked about this exact subject, about LIV players coming back to the PGA Tour. Let's hear his reaction to the same.
Would you accept the players back into the tour as they want to come back in, or do you think there is a consequence of joining?
Well, I think they've already paid their they've made the money, but they've paid their consequence in terms of you talk about the reputation and some of the things that they've lost by going over there. If it made the overall tour stronger to have Bryson DeChambeau back and whoever else, I would be okay with it. But again, it's not just me, and I recognize that not everyone's in my position. So, it would be up to the collective group of PGA Tour members to make that decision.
All right, that to take from Rory McIlroy as to whether or not they should be allowed back on the PGA Tour. Dominic, your question of the day and an update of the same, if you'd be so kind.
Question of the day is, should the LIV players be allowed back on the PGA Tour? And right now it's at 79% no, Carl. That's a strong no.
Where do you stand, Carl?
Well, look, this is multifaceted here. If you still have status on the PGA Tour, I think you come in with a completely different argument than somebody that left that doesn't have any status left. If they want to come back and go through qualifying school, or to try and get a couple of exemptions and try and get temporary membership, you just work your way back up. There's nothing wrong with that. I don't see an issue with that. I don't think the 1-year ban's a good idea. I think we've got a chance to get some guys back from LIV potentially with, if Brooks gets a way back in, if he can get some sponsors exemptions to play in some tournaments. And I don't know what the right policy is for that. Do you let them only play in full field events on sponsors exemptions and not in signature events? I don't know what the answer is to that. I'm not paid to figure that out, but it seems like the tour right now has an opportunity. And I think if you just say, nope, you can't play, and we'll see you in 2027, I don't think that's the right move. If Brooks Koepka wants to come back and he still has status on the PGA Tour, if Dustin Johnson wants to come back, who's got a lifetime membership to the tour, or did before he gave it up, I don't see anything wrong with having those guys back.
All right, Carl Paulson, was throwing some heat at us here this morning. When we come back, we're going to talk more with this Tour veteran and host of Inside the Ropes, co-host on SiriusXM PGA Tour Radio and a lead analyst for PGA Tour Live, which is on ESPN+. Stay with us. More of the Fairways of Life show right after these words.
You think you know Florida golf? Think again. 4 legendary courses and counting. Carved from reclaimed earth where a mining past meets a golf future. Wild but intentional, this is golf that makes you feel something. Legendary courses, unforgettable moments. This is Stream Song.
Head down, water down the left, bunker down the right, take the club straight back.
Wandering minds. When golfers lose their focus, they're totally... But Bridgestone can help. Introducing Mindset. The ball scientifically designed to keep you focused. First, identify your target. Next, visualize your shot path.
And then focus on the green dot and smooth one.
Play the Tour B and E12 with Mindset technology.
See what happens when we work together? Stuff like that.
Imagine your ultimate golf experience. There's a good chance it's Michigan's Magnificent 11. 11 spectacular courses from Boyne Golf, varied in both topography and play. Boyne Golf was named the #1 best golf destination in USA Today Reader's Choice 2025. And the Highlands at Harbor Springs is the #2 golf resort in that same USA Today poll. The ultimate golf experience. That's Michigan's Magnificent 11.
The Rome clubs are costing you strokes. PXG can fix that for an amazing new price. PXG Black Ops drivers, double gold winning, effortless distance, and game-changing forgiveness. PXG Gen 7 irons, unmatched quality, precision, and a feel so pure you'll never want to swing anything else. Save your season and save with incredible new pricing on Black Ops and Gen 7. Book your fitting now. PXG, you've never played like this before.
Hey, I'm golf broadcaster Matt Adams. You know, Hub's Peanuts has been cooking up the top 1% of peanuts for over 70 years. And these aren't your average nut. These are super extra large Virginia peanuts cooked in the USA. Family-owned Hub's Peanuts have more protein than any other nuts. So whether it's a boost on the course or a special gift, the variety of flavors guarantees Hub's Peanuts is just what you need. Family-owned, nutritious, delicious, and sustainable. Hub's Peanuts, it's just right. HubsPeanuts.com. As we welcome you back to the Fairways of Life show, Carl Paulson is our guest. Folks, check this out. The average age for retirement in the NFL, it's 27.6. Major League Baseball, 29.5. NHL, 28.5. And in the NBA, it is 28. Lots of news surrounding that. Tiger turned 50 years old on the 30th of December. So let me ask Carl Paulson, and I bet his answer to this would depend upon what time of day it is or how he's feeling at the time he gets out of bed. But Carl Paulson, what age is old on the PGA Tour?
Oh boy, when I was playing back in the late 90s and early 2000s, I think, you know, everybody talked about that 40 cutoff. And any of the guys that were winning after their 40th birthday, everybody thought they were doing something special. Vijay Singh had an incredible run after his 40th birthday. Of course, Phil Mickelson had a nice run as well. There are plenty of other guys that had nice runs in their 40s, but I think that's definitely lowered at least by 5 years. You know, you start right around 35 now. You start competing with guys that are 23, 24, 25, and 26. It's completely different. So I would say 35 would be my answer to that. But I will say this. You don't retire from golf. I once was playing on the Corn Ferry Tour, and we were playing a practice round, and one of the guys that we were playing with said, after this year, I think I'm going to retire. And I said, I think you mispronounced it. I think it's called quitting. You don't retire from golf. You quit. There are very few people that get to retire from golf.
That's for sure. You've surprised me with some of the answers you gave us today. To put that number down to 35, considering the fact, and I realize he's an outliner because he's an absolute superstar. Rory turns 37 this May. We've already got Scottie Scheffler now in his early 30s. So let me ask you that question because you're sending me down this road. Do we have, in your eyes, and I don't mean to lead you on this, but I look at Thorn Bjornsson and think that he kind of fits the bill of the question I'm about to ask you. Forgive me for doing that, but it just popped in my head. Who are the young guys, the stars that are going to inherit the game?
Well, I mean, golly, look at all the guys that have come from the PGA Tour University, Ludwig Oberg, some of the new guys that are coming out. One of them still in college, and he made my top 5 list of best chances to win on the PGA Tour next year in Jackson Coyven. You look at some of these guys and look at their all-around games. Jackson Bridgman is an incredible player that's just getting better and better every year. And there's just handfuls of these guys that come out that know what they're doing. I mean, when we came out, everybody was telling us, just hang on till you're 30 and then you'll make some money and you'll start winning some tournaments and everything will be fine. If you haven't won by your 30th birthday now, you're over the hill, so to speak. So the game has definitely gotten younger. Listen, I'm not saying that you can't play great golf past your 35th birthday and past your 40th birthday. We've seen plenty of guys do that. But to do that, the Justin Rose, look what Justin Rose does and travels with to keep his body in shape. Look what Rory McIlroy does to keep his body in shape. There aren't a whole lot of people that have that perseverance to be great for that long. It's as simple as that. After playing this game for 12 years at the professional level, in my case, and 4 surgeries later, I didn't have the drive to do what it took to keep my body in shape to keep playing. And a lot of times that's the case, but these bodies break down. And listen, with the speeds that these guys are playing at nowadays, now I know that their physical abilities are much higher than ours were. Their workout regimens, the way that they treat their bodies in terms of nutrition and sleep and working out and all of that is way different than it was when I was playing. So that changes what I'm about to say greatly. But a lot of times these bodies break down, and at these speeds these guys are going at, and the amount of money that they're making nowadays, I think it's going to be kind of rare to see somebody play for 20 or 25 years anymore. I don't think we're going to see very many people play on the PGA Tour until they're 50 and then flip over and play on the Champs Tour. We've got a couple of guys, Stuart Sink and Brian Gay did it. A couple of other guys have done it in recent years, but I think that's going to be a lost art moving forward.
Yeah, as you're saying that, it kind of brings back thoughts of generations from the 70s, like Roger Maltby. Remember when he won in Massachusetts and he left the winning check in the bar. I mean, you got John Daly and his famed quote that about player injuries and going to the gym, and he said, "Well, you can't pull fat." It's just the classic stuff. And yeah, I agree with the players are very different today. I do want to ask you about a player in the form of Justin Thomas, though, because of the surgeries that you just referenced, Carl. He had back surgery. How concerning is it to you when you hear from a player still in his early 30s that he had to undergo the back surgery in terms of the education that we all have of watching players that go through back surgery? It seldomly gets better, but what's your take on it?
Well, it's definitely concerning. The good thing with Justin Thomas is he's in great shape going into the surgery. I had 3 of the exact same surgeries that he had. We weren't workout guys. We were range rats. We wanted to go out and play as much golf as we possibly could. That's how we got better. We didn't have the wherewithal and the knowledge that these guys have about how the body works and how you're supposed to swing with how your body moves and how your body works. These guys are taught that at a very, very young age. Look, this is just a repetitive injury. He's herniated a disc, and That just comes from all the balls that he's hit and the overuse. And golf is a very unnatural motion. It's going to happen to some people. I don't care how many bicep curls you do and push-ups you do. This isn't an internal disc problem. This is an infrastructure problem. This is not I need to work on, get my core stronger kind of thing, although that will help. We've seen some guys kind of come back from this surgery now, a lot more than we have in the past. The surgery is a lot less invasive now, but you're still going through a row of muscles. It's a very thick row of muscles that they're going through in the back, and that takes about 12 to 18 months to completely heal. He'll be ready to hit balls about 12 weeks, right around 12 weeks after the surgery. It'll take him a little bit of while to get his strength back. But Justin Thomas's size and Justin Thomas's flexibility, I think, are going to be two major keys to help him in recovering from this surgery. But yeah, anytime you see a young guy having issues with a back or a wrist, the back and the wrist are the two things to me that don't seem to heal ever 100%. So a little bit concerning, but he's in a lot different position than I was when I had my surgeries, with the shape that he's in and how he's kept himself physically fit, and his size, I think, is another thing. If you're a big guy and you have this, it's a lot different than if you're a little guy. And Justin Thomas has a ton of flexibility, which I did not have. So that's a major difference. So I think Justin Thomas will be okay.
Well, let's stay on the subject of recent back surgeries then. You heard me mention Tiger Woods just turned 50 at the end of December. He's coming off yet another back surgery. With your company, Carl, I can't think of a better person to ask about this. I've heard it said, and doctors have told me, when you get that surgery, it moves the pressures below and above the point. So it really wasn't shocking that this had to get done. What's your take on Tiger? Because the question that's following is, we all know he wants to play on the Champions Tour. Can you see it happen?
Man, I tell you what, if it weren't for all of the other stuff, if it were just this surgery, if it weren't the 10 before that and the leg being crushed in the car accident, I would give you an emphatic yes. I'm not sure, Maddie. My hope and goal for myself, for Tiger, which is a really stupid thing to say because it's, pretty personal for him, but my goal for him is to be healthy enough to live a regular life and be able to play golf with Charlie and hang out and kick the soccer ball around with Sam and do all the things that you want to do as a dad. And if he can get back to playing golf on the PGA Tour Champions, that's going to be a gigantic bonus for me. I'm not sure we're going to see it happen. But man, I tell you, if you bet against Tiger, you're going to lose. You're going to lose most of the time. So if he puts his mind to it and that's what he really wants to do, I think that maybe we'll see him play again. One thing about the surgery that he had is he had a disc replacement surgery. That's what I had in my neck a couple of years ago. That was by far the easiest surgery I had to recover from. The other ones were much more difficult to recover from. The fusion surgery is absolutely brutal to recover from. He's not going to lose any range of motion with the surgery that he had with disc replacement. They were doing this disc replacement a lot more in Europe than they were in the United States, and it's just recently come to pass that it's happening more and more in the United States because in the lumbar region, there's a lot more things that it's a lot more delicate than it is if you're in the cervical. There's not as much stuff in the way. So, the surgery seemed to be a success, and I sure hope we get to see Tiger in 2026 on the golf course. I'm not sure though.
Wild. It was interesting. Just as an aside, I was having a conversation yesterday, the day before, with a friend, Jeff Sluman, our buddy, and Slu was telling me, because I had raised the possibility of saying, if we know Tiger wants to play, and if all those variables that you just aptly laid out for us fall in place and he's able to, then is it possible that could we see the PGA Tour champions doing crazy ratings? And he said to me, back in the early 90s, when you had Arnold Palmer, Jack Nicklaus, Lee Trevino, Gary Player, the list goes on. And those guys were all playing what was then the Seniors Tour. He said it was not surprising at all that, because he was on the board at the time, that the ratings for the Senior Tour very often were better than they were on the PGA Tour at the time. It just goes to show you that we as fans will follow our heroes with Tiger Woods. So I thought you might find that conversation interesting.
Yeah, we've had that conversation too. And jokingly, somebody said in our conversation, yeah, if Tiger plays on the PGA Tour Champions, they're going to be tape delaying the PGA Tour and playing it at 7 p.m. and we're going to be live at the Dick's Open, the Dick's Sporting Goods Open, with Tiger Woods playing in the PGA Tour Champions. I don't think that's ever going to happen, but we're going to certainly see a lot more coverage of the Champions Tour if he's able to and wants to play anywhere near a full schedule. The way I see it is, if he does end up playing some tournaments, we're looking at seeing him play in some major championships and maybe a couple more. I mean, I couldn't see him playing more than 8.
Yeah, kind of the Jack Nicklaus template when he went on to the PGA Tour Champions too. All right, we'll continue our conversation with Carl Paulson. When we come back, I do want to go down that road of expectations, particularly when we're talking about Scottie Scheffler, say Rory McIlroy, and more after this.
Golfers today are a different breed.
Who? Me? We see the game in a different way.
We all have our own styles.
We swing our own swing.
But we have one thing in common.
We are all about the details.
Introducing the Revel line of grips from Superstroke. With 3 distinct offerings to choose from, the Revel is in the details.
In Ireland, golf is more than just a game. Come and experience our world-famous links courses and our world-famous Parkland courses, all set alongside world-famous scenery. And visit our world-famous historic sites. And while you're here, enjoy our world-famous hospitality. Fill your heart with Ireland at ireland.com/golf.
As we welcome you back to the Fairways of Life show, our guest is Carl Paulson. The pleasure of working with Carl on PGA Tour Live, the pleasure of working with him on Open Radio, and we broadcast that major this year at Royal Birkdale, which I cannot wait till we get there. But as to PGA Tour Live, which is on ESPN Plus, Carl, how are you enjoying the experience of doing the radio and being a lead analyst for PGA Tour Live?
I'm really enjoying it, Matty. It's a lot of fun to be able to stay connected to the game. You know, this game has given me and my family so much. I was dedicated to this game from a very young age, and I still am, although I don't get to play as much as I want to. I shouldn't say don't get to. I don't play as much. The body is, I have to manage that. But I still really enjoy watching the game evolve, because it's evolved tremendously since I played professionally. I mean, Dennis and I, my co-host Dennis Paulson and I on the radio show, we're talking about, people living through wild times in the world, right? People that were alive when they took the first flight and when the first TV came out and the first cars and all of that. I think we lived through the golden age of golf, going from Persimmon and Balata to where we are now. The changes have just been epically huge, and it's been a lot of fun to sift through that throughout the years, the 40 years that I've been involved in this game at a serious level. So I'm having a heck of a lot of fun, and I thought it was fitting that I have my open coffee cup this morning, knowing that you and I will be at Royal Birkdale, walking the links together as we do year in and year out.
I love that. It's actually my favorite week of the year when we get our band back together, and what has become for both of us, our family in Europe, to broadcast that major and kind of close out the season. That major, of course, last year won by Scottie Scheffler. And Andrew, would you put that graphic up there about what Scottie Scheffler has accomplished over the last few seasons, because it is absolutely stunning. Take a look at the last 40 events for Scottie Scheffler. In those last 40 events, he's had 14 wins, which includes 3 majors, a gold medal, a Players, Tour Championship, a FedEx Cup. And in those 40 events, he's had 34 top 10s. Think about this. In 2024, to jump down the bottom of that graphic, in 20 events, he won 8 times, including a major. The PGA Tour will say 7 times. I called it 8 because I'm counting the gold medal as being worthy of distinction there. 17 top 10s out of 20. In 2025, in 20 events, and remember, folks, he was slow to get started in 25 because of the palm injury on Christmas Day when the glass from the stem of a wine glass cut into his hand, and he had to recover from that. In 20 events, he had 6 wins, 2 majors. Once again, 17 top 10s and no missed cuts. So setting the table in such a way, Carl, what do you think we could expect from Scottie Scheffler? Is it keep on keeping on?
Well, I was asked this question yesterday by Bob Herrig of Sports Illustrated because they were doing a kind of a question and answer from some golf writers, and it was, do you think Scottie Scheffler wins the 5th Player of the Year? And Bob said no to the question. He said just because of the law of averages. And then Dennis read off all of his finishes since the Players Championship, and he said, if you say no, you're betting against that. The guy's finished in the top 10 every single week. It's absolutely ridiculous. I don't see anything that says he's not going to be the best player and win five plus times this year and be Player of the Year again. I mean, you could maybe see a Rory. You could maybe see a Xander who's healthy now. But Tommy Fleetwood, who's finally got the monkey off the back with the win at the Tour Championship and how well he's played over the last 8 to 12 months. Those guys certainly have the game to catch a little bit of a heater and catch a Scottie, but I don't see any reason why not to think that Scottie's not going to be head and shoulders above everybody else again.
When Scottie was named Player of the Year, one of the big interviews that he did, of course, was with Pat McAfee on ESPN. And either Pat asked the question or one of his sidekicks asked the question of the world number one, are you the face of the tour? And he deferred on that one. Did you grab that, Andrew, by any chance, that sound? He doesn't have that sound ready. So, but he deferred and said, no, I'm not. I don't see, I'm paraphrasing, obviously. I'm not the face of the tour. And so that you could see where I'm going, Carl, with the question I want to ask you about that role and that responsibility. But then I think about Nelly Korda, who faced comments, even Stacey Lewis saying she needs to step up and do more as the leading face of the LPGA Tour. If a player succeeds because of the cocoon that they build themselves within, do they have a responsibility outside of that?
Well, I mean, you always have a responsibility to put your game in the forefront. You always have a responsibility to, and I hate this quote, but grow the game, because there really is no definition for growing the game. I give the grow the game trophy to the 30,000 PGA of America members that are in the trenches every day doing the junior clinics and the ladies clinics and the member guests and all that stuff. I think that they're the most important people in the game of golf in terms of growing the game. But I also think you have a responsibility to leave your tour better than it was when you leave, and that's what that's what all of the guys that paved the path before us have done. And we tried to do that a couple of generations ago, and I think everybody's doing a pretty good job of making sure that they leave the tour in a better place than they left it. But listen, the last thing in the world you want is to tell Scottie he's got to be the face of the tour. You don't want somebody to have to not be themselves, if you know what I mean. Both Nelly and Scottie are very private people that you're not going to see them. I mean, when we saw Nelly at the Met Gala, everybody was like, oh my gosh, I can't believe she's doing this kind of thing. And you never see Scottie. Their goals are so entrenched in just being better tomorrow than they were today, and being the best father, wife, mother, husband, whatever it is that they can possibly be. And that simplified approach seems to work really well for Scottie. Scottie does some commercials because he's contractually obligated to do them. But you don't see Scottie and Nelly doing a whole lot of extra stuff if they don't have to do it. They want to keep focused on keeping their private life private and their public life as private as they possibly can. But it's all about winning golf tournaments and leaving the most epic legacy that they can possibly leave. And I can't doubt them for that. I mean, I can't, you can't punish a guy for that. And you can't tell him, listen, you got to go out and act like John Daly. You got to go out and, and tell everybody how great everything is. And some people just aren't like that. And Scottie and Nelly really aren't those type of people. And I would hate to see them kind of forcing being the face of the tour. Look, if you get a Ricky Fowler that's number one in the world and the personality that he's got and the connection that he's got to the fans, that's a natural fit for him to be the face of the tour. In fact, he was the face of the tour and he wasn't even close to number one in the world. So I think it's more of a personality fit in terms of face of the tour.
Yeah, and like you're saying, there's an authenticity question there. You can't really force it. Honestly, I think Bryson kind of got himself in trouble early in his career because he was trying to play a role instead of being the guy that we now know, and it's easy to be a fan of from there. All right, let's talk about Rory before we lose your company here today. You heard me mention that Rory, it will be turned 37 years old this May. He seems to still be on a heater, and he's playing as well as he ever has. Take a look at the Rory run over the last 2 years. 8 wins, 25 top 10s. In the year that just ended, in 22 events, he won 4 times, including the Masters. He won the Players, 12 top 10s along the way. Career Grand Slam secured, won the Ryder Cup as part of Team Europe, won his 7th race to Dubai. That's the second most all-time. He also won the UK's Sportsman of the Year. What are your thoughts in terms of reasonable expectations for Rory McIlroy?
I expect another really good season from Rory McIlroy. I think Rory's getting to that point, though. He's hinted at it a couple of times. Maybe I'm going to play a little bit less. Maybe I want to play a little bit more around the world as I'm look, he's definitely on the back nine of his career. There's no question about that. But Rory is the youngest 37-year-old we've ever seen playing on the tour in terms of the shape that he's in and where he keeps himself physically and mentally. A very sharp guy, a very cerebral guy that likes to read, likes to learn. But Rory's a young 37 years old. There's no question about that. Rory's got plenty of good years left in him. I'm just not sure if we're going to see the drive. And I'm not saying he's not going to be committed and he's not going to be driven. I'm just saying as he gets a little bit older in age, his family starts growing up. We know now that he's built a house in London. So he's maybe a little less travel to the United States. We'll have to wait and see on that. Last year, he skipped, I think, 3 signature events. This year, the schedule's even a little bit tighter than it was last year in a couple of stretches on the tour. So we're going to see some top guys that are skipping some of those big events because you can't play 6-7 weeks in a row with all of the travel. But, Rory has some goals, and I know that he wants to win a couple more races to Dubai. I know that he wants to win more major championships, and I'm saying all this in kind of in comparison to a Scottie. Could Rory have a better year than he had last year? Yeah, absolutely. Could Rory have a better year than Scottie? I'm not so sure.
Yeah, Rory McIlroy, of course, one more major even to catch Nick Faldo, Sir Nick. He's second in the race to Dubai. I believe he's chasing Monty on that one, if memory serves me.
But Matty, let me ask you this.
Yeah, again.
Let me ask you this, Matty. Do you think Rory McIlroy is the greatest European player ever?
Yes, I do.
I do too.
Yeah, I don't even think there's a question about that. But he's looking for those mile markers to prove the same. But what I was going to get to, what I really liked about what you said, Carl, was your observation that, the kind of what's the next mountain to climb for Rory McIlroy, because we have seen at different times throughout his career where, here, Dom's got a graphic that he wants to pull in here and have you take a look at. dual tour legends, Tiger Woods with 82 wins in the PGA Tour and 41 on what's now called the DP World Tour. Tiger, of course, a lot of his wins were wins on both tours, respectively. Rory has won 29 times on the PGA Tour. That currently would have him tied with the likes of, for example, Lee Trevino, having won that many times. And there's a sense that certainly there's more winnings in the offing for Rory McIlroy, not even to mention the majors. On the European side, it's 20, which, again, he's played most of his career on the PGA Tour, so he's well off the pace in terms of both wins on the DP World Tour. Ernie Els with 19 and 28, respectively. Greg Norman with 20 and 14. Vijay Singh with 34 and 13, just to illustrate the rare company that Rory McIlroy is in right now. But to that point that I was making, Carl, that we've seen at different times with Rory that it almost seems like there's a flow and ebb in terms of engagement, mental, emotional engagement. We even see it at times during the course of a tournament. He kind of bristles at the phrase of a backdoor top 10 where he gets a slow start and a strong finish as he continues to march through a particular tournament. So all I'm saying is I think your observation was astute, and I, hearing it, completely agree with it with Rory McIlroy. I think it's a question of overall drive, overall motivation, but I also think that he's a really proud guy, and when he starts to feel like he's being doubted in any way, he gets that motivation.
Yeah, look, we all understand the hangover after the Masters. You know, he climbed Mount Everest. He did it without oxygen. It took him 11 years to do it, to get that career Grand Slam, whatever it was. And we totally understand the hangover after that. But towards the end of the year, and he got a chip on his shoulder because a lot of people were talking about is Rory done kind of thing. And look what he did. He played fantastic golf at the end of the year. I think Rory McIlroy is going to have a really good year this year. I'm just not sure how much we're going to see him. I think he's only going to play 15 or 16 times on the PGA Tour, and that's the minimum that the tour asks you to play to keep your voting rights. So I'm just not so sure how much we're going to see him, and that's okay. Rory deserves to. He's put enough into this game. We don't owe him anything. Golf doesn't owe him anything. So if he wants to play a little bit less and be a little bit more of a family man, that's totally fine with me.
Yeah, there's a converse side to that too, of course, that we're talking about, say 15, 16 times, if you're correct on that number. That's on the PGA Tour. Right. Because of his new home outside of London at Wentworth, where they're living now, we might be seeing more of him popping up on the DP World Tour. So maybe in the balance it will be the same. We'll just be watching him at different times of the day. All right, so Carl, we're going to let you go now, but before you go, I'm going to put you on the spot. Masters, PGA, U.S. Open, and the Open. Who's going to win each one, if you'd be so kind?
Oh, goodness gracious. All right, we're going to go with Scottie at the Masters because he seems to win on every odd year. He's going to keep that streak going. Where are we at now? PGA?
Aronimink.
This one's tough. Aronimik's not a golf course that we see a lot. I don't know a whole lot about the golf course. I've never played it either. Let me
Old
come back
school
to that one.
tactician, picking your spots, stay
okay.
below.
Okay. Let me come back to that one. The U.S. Open, I think, is going to be the really fun one to watch, at least for me. If Scottie wins it, he wins his career Grand Slam. If he does it, that Sunday is his birthday, and what a birthday present that would be for Scottie. But I'm going to say the U.S. Open goes to Xander Schauffele. His record in the U.S. Open is absolutely insane, and I think he's healthy now, and I think that he is going to win possibly the U.S. Open. How about this one, Matty? The Open Championship at Royal Birkdale.
Yeah,
we see a resurgence from Jordan Spieth. Jordan Spieth gets back-to-back wins at Birkdale.
Wow.
Yeah, how about that? PGA Championship. I'm going to go. How about I say this? We're going to have a first-time major winner at the PGA Championship.
Kind of a cop-out, but we'll take that answer from you as we go along. To these points, right now, at this point, I'm going to go Jon Rahm for the Masters. Justin Rose for the PGA Championship. He's going to pick his way through
like
there
that.
the way that he is capable.
A little Marion-esque, right?
And he wants it bad. He's already told us that he holds on to memories. He feels like he's owed one. U.S. Open, I'm going to go with Bryson. If it gets real windy, I may change my mind on that one. And the Open at Royal Birkdale, I'm going with one Rory McIlroy. The one that we went with today was Carl Paulson. Carl is the co-host of Inside the Ropes and SiriusXM's PGA Tour Radio and lead analyst on PGA Tour Live on ESPN+. Brother, you are awesome. Thank you so much for your time as ever and everything that you contribute to the game as well. We appreciate it.
Well, we appreciate you guys, man. We appreciate everything you're doing with the show. Thanks a lot for having me. And I tell you what, that's a pretty thin limb you went out on with Scottie not winning a major, but I like it. That 2026 is going to be a lot of fun.
Yeah, I almost took your pick with Scottie at the Masters, but then I'm like, John Rahm reminds me of like a caged animal. I just think that he's got that Rahm fire, that rage that he wants to break there. Almost picked him for Royal Birkdale, where you made a terrible pick, but I have a feeling that Rory is going to break through. Thanks so much, my friend. Good seeing you.
Enjoyed it, Matty. Take care.
Carl Paulson. Listen to him on the radio. You can watch him on television as well. Folks, thank you so much for your company today. Awesome to have your company for these few minutes on this. What time did we get off? Right at the top of the hour, Andrew? How about that? That is good directed and producing by those gents right there. But we will be back again, of course, to cover everything going on in and around the game of golf. Until then, be well. Goodbye for now.